guys, how's it going? So let's go over today's daily challenge, which was called Master of the Mortar. Can you master the Mortar Tower? Only mortars for popping camo and lead, and the other towers are limited because of that. You start at round 22 with 2,800 cash, so you do get quite a bit of cash to start, but you do have to buy a mortar with the camo detection to get no lives lost for level 24, which can be probably the hardest part of the entire strategy. Yeah, realistically, the only hard part is probably 22, 23, 24, and 25, and if you can get those no lives lost, you can probably get the entire thing no lives lost pretty darn easily. So let's go over the strategy really fast, and I'm going to talk a little bit about eclipses, which I think you guys might find a little bit interesting. I don't know everything about them. I'm just going from my basic memory, and hopefully I'll just help you guys understand them just a little bit more. So what I did is I started off with a 1-3 mortar, and I just did that because I didn't feel like upgrading him later, and also a tack shooter. And you just gotta micro the mortar just a little tiny bit for the first few levels, 22 and 23, just micro just a tiny bit and you'll easily own those whites and blacks, no problemo. As long as you get the second upgrade on the right side for the mortar, it should be no problem. And then for level 24, obviously you should have camo detection by then. Make sure you get it if you want to get no lives lost. And then 25 is kind of tough because you get a bunch of yellow regen balloons coming down, and that's when you got to use your tack shooter and use a little bit of micro to make sure you actually get no lives lost. That's probably one of the toughest parts of the game. And then what you can do is just basically mass a bunch of tack shooters, probably 3-0 tack shooters. You can make a bunch of different stuff. You can make some 0-3 dart monkeys if you want, or tack shooters. You can go with quite a bit of stuff. You can go with try and save up for a super monkey pretty fast. You can do anything realistically. But what I did is I just massed a bunch of tack shooters, got a boomerang and dart monkey, a couple dart monkeys I think, and that was really about it. Just make sure you get 2 mortars for level probably at least level 47 when all those pink camos come. They can be a pretty big problem if you only have 1 mortar that can have camo detection, but you can actually put it in a spot where no balloon could possibly get by. So it's definitely possible. And then realistically, you're totally fine. I mean, you really don't have that much web popping power, but you can definitely figure something out, either some super monkeys or some tack shooters like I did. And then for level 63, obviously, you need something that's going to pop all those. There's really not very many explosions or anything because you don't really have anything that can pop leads, but what you do have is the 3-0 boomerangs, and those guys are good for level 63, and for pretty much popping any balloons besides that. If you get 2 or 3 of them, you'll be set. So that's really all I got for the strategy. Let's talk a tiny itty bitty bit about eclipses. So first of all, I think by now you guys should know that the sun is in the center of our solar system. Earth revolves around the sun, which means it goes around it. It also rotates. And then the moon also revolves around the Earth, and the moon actually rotates. And most of that doesn't matter, but you need to understand that the rotations don't really matter too much, but let's talk about the revolutions. So revolutions are going around the entire sun, or going around the entire Earth. So what happens is there's 2 types of eclipses. Basically, there's a lunar eclipse and a solar eclipse, and the basic difference between them is a lunar eclipse happens a lot more often, and all it is that the Earth gets in the way of the light going to the moon. So if you think all this light's coming from the sun, it hits the Earth and blocks the light from getting to the moon. That is a lunar eclipse. And if you know what that is, that's pretty much just you see no moon for a little while, or realistically what you see is a very discolored moon, usually some sort of red or orange, because you're not seeing the direct light. You're seeing light that's kind of curved or kind of long wavelength light that you actually see off of the moon. So you see a weird colored moon, and it eventually just passes through the shadow, and that's why they don't last very long. You can actually see the light moving off of the moon or back onto the moon, and that's kind of cool to see the light actually get blocked if you've ever seen an eclipse. And then the harder one to see is the solar eclipse. Okay, guys? Solar eclipses do not happen that often, and the problem with that is you can't see it everywhere either. Solar eclipses only happen for certain parts of the Earth. So, just as an example, you might have a solar eclipse that only happens in 300-mile radius in the United States. So realistically, not that many people are going to see it, or unless it's in a really high populated area. But there's a lot of places or a lot of times where not a lot of people can actually see it. You actually have to travel to go see the solar eclipse. And what the solar eclipse is the moon gets in the way of the light coming from the sun and blocks it from getting to Earth. And that makes us see, this one's a lot cooler because it's a lot rarer, but you can actually see the sun right behind the moon. And it looks really cool because you can see just a tiny bit of light kind of getting scattered right around the moon, and you're actually not supposed to look at a solar eclipse because it's actually just kind of just as bad as looking at the sun, if not worse. So you're really not supposed to look at it. You're supposed to wear special goggles or something like that. But I think most people don't really care enough. They just want to see the solar frickin' eclipse. And those are a lot rarer. I think they happen something like twice a year tops, and usually once a year, and sometimes 0 times a year. And I think that's what it is. And lunar eclipses happen like 3 or 4 times a year sometimes. So they happen quite a bit more often. You can definitely look up when there's solar eclipses or lunar eclipses if you want to see them. They can be really cool. And that's really all I got for you guys. Hopefully my explanations were decent. I know I didn't really have anything to show you guys. It would be a lot easier if I had a diagram or something to show you guys. So if I need to make a webcam thing of that or something, I will. But hopefully that helped out just a little bit. Thank you for watching. Appreciate likes, and have a really nice day.